Hello, loves. Hello, hello. It's Hills here from the Blue Flame. I am so excited for today's update, which is all about the power couple Venus and Mars in Aquarius. At the moment of my recording, which is the 15th of February here in California, Mars has just passed over Pluto and is currently at the 1 degree of Aquarius, and Venus is still at the very end of Capricorn and getting ready to pass over, conjoined with Pluto at the 0 degree of Aquarius tomorrow, the 16th. This conjunction between Mars and Venus and Pluto is active this entire week for the next couple of days anyhow. And this entire journey of Mars and Venus through the sign of Aquarius, with Pluto now there already, the Sun and Mercury both still in Aquarius. They're getting ready to shift out themselves. The way that it keeps coming through is a templating, an unearthing of anything that does not serve empowered compassion. As I start to bring this update through, I'm going to share that over the Aquarius new moon and in the week leading up to it, I got to start playing with a new frequency to me. They call themselves the rose dragons, and it's not surprising, right, that this dragon energy would come in, this frequency of dragon energy anyhow, on the day before the Lunar New Year, which is also tied to that Aquarian new moon. One of the loudest pieces of information that the Rose Dragons shared as I was moving with their energy, and I still am very much so. The grid set up behind me was actually part of the new moon circle that I facilitated, and in a little bit here I'm going to share some clips from that Rose Dragons transmission. This energy of embracing empowered compassion and coming into a new relationship, a new leveling, a finer frequency of our relationship between what we feel and what we think. This is that Aquarian energy. And part of what we are also getting to play with through this is an unearthing of the separation, the apparent separation between masculine energy and feminine energy. Let me feel for a minute, because there's a specific way that this wants to be shared, and it's very important that we take the time to allow. If you haven't noticed, February is moving very fast. This is the quickening energy that we're in right now. And part of it is through the speeding up, finding those moments to take a pause, to allow a recalibration, so that the highest truth can be accessed in any moment. And this is also part of the energy of something else that we have coming at the end of February that I'll talk about very briefly in a few moments here also. Over the next couple of days, so today the 15th, tomorrow the 16th, into the 17th and 18th, as the sun gets ready to shift into Pisces, we will have Mars and Venus sandwiching Pluto. Then, because Venus moves faster, Venus will pass through Pluto and through Mars and overtake and start moving forward. During this time, both Venus and Mars will also start making some meet cutes with the gas giants Jupiter and Taurus, leading into Jupiter and Uranus, Jupiter and Uranus's conjunction in April. And I talk a lot about that in the Aquarian new moon video. I'll put a link to that below, and I'll end cap this video with it. The dynamic in particular that we are talking about right now is allowing the feminine to be the feminine, the masculine to be the masculine, and then also remembering that this polarity, that this duality is simply a figment of this embodied plane which we are currently existing upon. And part of what we are being asked to do is to transcend polarity, to transcend duality. That is what it means to come into fifth dimensional consciousness. So feel that energy, that Aquarian energy that asks us to contain multitudes. It asks us to contain multitudes and to celebrate the multitudes that everyone else around us and everything else around us contains. Then we get to start to play with the feminine masculine and the masculine feminine and the non-binary. And think about how much this has already started to enter our consciousness over the last decade or so. How many people are realizing that their nature is non-binary. So what is Venus in Aquarius inviting us? And what is Mars in Aquarius inviting us to do? And why did I call them a power couple? Well, because in ancient mythology, Venus and Mars were indeed a couple. So that's part of it. But also exploring the nature of Mars, not the constrained nature as aggressor, but the expanded nature as assertive, as initiatory, as empowered. And then we can start to remember that Mars rules Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. There's that initiatory energy, that I am. So when we think of domineering or dominion as part of Mars's energy, what we are touching into is that Mars represents the I am. Mars also, in ancient astrology, rules Scorpio. So Pluto and Mars are dual rulers of Scorpio. So here we have Pluto in conjunction with Mars in Aquarius, a sign of duality expanded out, 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 out until it is multifaceted rather than dual natured. Then we have Venus, who also rules two signs, Taurus and Libra. Taurus, the embodied manifestation energies, the food and animals and plants of Gaia. That is the real Tauran energy. It is what you eat, what you feel. It's a very feeling, sensual sign. And this, we can feel that Venus rulership in that, right? Venus also rules Libra, which is the sign of the scales, and we think of balance and justice, but it is about our relationships and what we value. And you feel how of the same nature, in some ways, this air sign of Libra and this earth sign of Taurus are through that. And we get to start to feel through this transit in Aquarius that we are all beings of multifaceted love and potentiality. Because Mars is also what is potential. What potential is there? The I am is all about potential. Now, tomorrow, as Venus makes this exact conjunction with Pluto, it will also be in an exact trine to the moon, which will have gone into the 0 degree of Gemini at that moment, which feels so beautiful, right? This waxing crescent moon coming into a beautiful trine with Venus and Pluto at the moment of their conjunction. And Gemini is about our expression and our communication, and it is ruled by the planet Mercury. Now, Mercury, during this cycle, is also moving through Aquarius. Mercury is almost exactly squaring Uranus as this is happening. Uranus, which rules Aquarius. So we have the moon entering the sign ruled by the messenger that allows us to come into even greater relationship with the ruler of Uranus, of Aquarius, Uranus. Now, this square between Uranus and Mercury is followed by a square between Venus and Jupiter on the 24th, then Mars and Jupiter on the 26th. Then as we come into early March, we get the Venus-Uranus square and the Mars-Uranus square. And through all of this, Venus and Mars are basically conjunct. They're basically conjunct. So as we move through this month of February and into the beginning of next month, March, as we move into a solar Piscean and the last sign of the zodiac before the astrological new year in March, we are exploring our communication in conjunction with expanded embodiment, which is Jupiter and Taurus, and in conjunction with the new Earth, which is really what Uranus and Taurus over these last couple of years and into next year before it finally shifts out into Gemini has been about. So we have all this amazing expand our relationship to how we express ourselves, and then awaken even more of that potential as we come into the new. Then we have Venus come in and say, expand your ability to connect with love, with what you value. And as this entire cycle of Venus in Aquarius has the planet of love and desire and beauty in square to the sign that she rules. So she meets with Jupiter, and it's, how can I make the love of embodiment and of the earth bigger? How can I luxuriate in my embodiment more fully? How can I luxuriate in my embodiment more fully? And then Mars comes in and says, and remember, I have the capacity to be of this earth and the divine, wholly of this. And then Venus comes in and makes the square with Uranus and awakens even more of the potentiality of the new earth. Even more of that potentiality. And before Venus gets to, and before Mars gets to this square with Uranus, we have a powerful conjunction. We also have a full moon, but we'll get to that in another video. But we have a powerhouse conjunction between Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury on the 27th of February in Pisces. This is 3 expressions of our soul light, our outward expression, the foundations and our karma and our relationship to time, and the messenger of the gods, that which can transmute and transfer and engage with every plane, with everyone, with everything. All in the sign of the higher heart, Pisces. And we're going to get into something that's really funny that I am absolutely in adoration of. There has been this energy of, we are starting as we come into a closing of the old cycle and a beginning of the new. We are in an era of blurred lines, and the wheel of the astrology is beautifully templating this for us through the shift between Aquarius and Pisces. And that as I was bringing through the various charts and feeling into when the sun enters Pisces, I found no less than, I went to 3 sources and found 3 different times and dates for the moment when the sun shifts into Pisces. So it's either happening on the 18th, the 19th, or the 20th of March, depending on who you ask, which is a perfect example of this new energy, this quickening energy that we are currently in, and of that blurred line between Aquarius and Pisces, the Amrita, that heavenly nectar poured down upon us, filters through our minds into our higher heart, expands around us, and we have a dream of transcendence and a transcendent dream. Dream of transcendence and a transcendent dream. Which one's Pisces and which one's an Aquarius? And does it matter? Can we start to feel how, as you come to a certain point in your journey, what you start to remember is that both and is a real thing. And the more you thought you knew when you began this rung of the spiral, as you continued your journey and you came to this point where one spiral ends and another begins, you realized you knew nothing at all. You simply had an idea. And now you can shed all of those ideas and come into a greater remembering through it all. Whew. Yeah, I feel. Like I said, as I'm closing this part of the update, I'm going to be sharing the next part of this update is going to be a couple of excerpts from the new moon in Aquarius Rose Dragon's transmission. And in addition to these excerpts, I do have this transmission available on my Patreon in the members portal, available for the full Blue Flame community, which means that it's publicly available now. So there will be a link below for you to go access the full transmission and the light activation if that is something that calls to you. This Rose Dragon's energy is so beautiful. It is really amazing. And so I have, it's kind of funny that this is where we bring this in. I've been guided to keep this public on in the members portal over at the Blue Flame Apothecary Patreon until the sun enters Pisces. So that means that it will either shift back into the members portal aspect of the Patreon on the 18th, the 19th, or the 20th. And I don't yet know when that is. So if it calls, I say go now, and check it out. I would love to hear from each of you if it calls to leave a comment and share what this power couple power surge through Aquarius, this loving, empowered compassion activation is feeling like for each and every one of you. If you have not already subscribed to the channel and you're enjoying the content, please do. It really is such a gift to me. And come over and check out the Patreon. There's a lot of stuff on there that is available publicly, and then the members portal itself, we have lots of meditations and light activations, and we get together every new moon, and I also bring through a violet blue flame release ceremony every full moon for us in there. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for the empowered compassion with the rose dragons. With so much and many loves to you, as always, in the always, from, through, and beyond the all dimensions. I feel like we're diving straight in to the rose dragons. I'm going to dive straight in. And one of the things that was very loud was to share with you all some translations. So the asteroid in particular, the Dragon Rosa asteroid that I found and was able to place into the chart for this Aquarius new moon, is dragon spelled in the Slavic way. So it's Dragan. And in addition to being guided to find this asteroid in the list of asteroids and place it in the chart, I was asked to look up what Dragon Rosa or what dragon means. And that this would help us to feel into what the rose dragons represent. And in Slavic language, dragon means precious. In particular, it means a precious person who is mature and filled with empathy. When we feel dragon energy, what we are connecting into is that wholeness of being, that creative energy, that empowered, fully whole of self energy, a unified beingness. And the rose dragon is, and from this place, and from this place, you are able to empathize. There is a way in which this new age, this new Plutonian Aquarian age, and in particular, this current energy of this Aquarian Taurus field that we're in right now, where we have all these Aquarian energies hitting Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus over the course of this next month and a half. It is amplifying and igniting within us the frequency of this rose dragon, this ability to be whole, individual expressions of ourselves, to unite our heart space and our mental space. And from that aspect of beingness, to feel true compassion, to feel true empathy. Most of what people call compassion is operating from like first heart chamber, that beautiful green, and there's nothing wrong with it. Let's get that straight. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just where most people have been operating from. But this level of compassion and empathy is still pretty self-centered. It's, I see this person struggling and I hurt because I know how much that would hurt if that was me. If that was me in that situation, this is what it would feel like. The empowered compassion of the dragon, of the rose dragon, is being able to hold whatever someone else is experiencing without drawing that comparison. Well, if it was me, this is how I would feel. So I can understand, I can empathize with what they're going through. It's, wow, that is theirs. And it's beautiful and it's amazing and it's devastating and it's glorious. And I let that be theirs. There was a quote that I saw the other day, and it's coming in now, that to truly hold space, to truly witness, asks of a person to not come back with a, yes, and I've experienced this, in response to what someone is sharing with you. And that's what this energy that we're coming into, and many of us have been really practicing walking that line,